Well, the budget was dead on arrival in the Commons today, so none of the fiscal plan is going to stand up or is likely to, except in the Conservative campaign platform. BC's finance minister says he likes what he sees, but many of the people who are affected by the budget on the island today aren't quite so sure. Our Stephen Andrew joins us now live with that part of our budget coverage. Stephen.
Hudson, there are many goodies in the budget for people living on Vancouver Island. The question is it enough? It's all the talk among Camosun College's nursing students. A Conservative budget initiative to forgive student debt up to $20,000 for graduating nurses if they agree to work in rural or remote communities. But it's not exactly getting a resounding endorsement.
It's a small dent in compared to what my student loan is going to come out as.
$20,000 in the grand scheme of how big our debt is, it's not a big enough incentive for me.
I have totally looked into it. It's something that I'm definitely interested in.
But it's something the nursing students who like the idea will have to wait for if the opposition parties defeat the federal budget.
I am armed with an elfish blade.
And an initiative of a $75 annual tax credit for families putting their children into arts programs is getting tacit approval.
You know, it's not going to be enough, but at least it's a start. If the dialogue opens up on this one, it's like the foot in the door. Maybe we can get a wider door opening there for us and for the young people.
There's also the issue of how cuts to military spending will affect CFB Esquimalt. The Conservatives expect to make $2 billion in cuts next year, more than 25% coming from the military and 35% in the following 2 years. One person in BC who likes what he sees is Finance Minister Kevin Falcon.
First of all, from a BC perspective, it's a good budget overall. From an economic point of view, I like the fact that there's a clear schedule to getting to balanced budgets for the country. I think that sends an important signal to the international financial markets. We know what happens to countries that do not get their financial houses in order.
And Falcon is happy that the Conservatives are moving ahead with corporate tax cuts that he says will help make BC the most competitive jurisdiction in the G7 by next year. But UVic political scientist Dennis Pilon says the NDP are against tax cuts. He believes it was a foregone conclusion the party wouldn't support the Tory plan.
There's some targeted goodies on the table, important things that I think NDP supporters might like to see around more money for seniors, important investments in infrastructure and jobs. But really, in this kind of a negotiation between, a party that doesn't have enough seats to govern alone and another party that wants to have some significant influence, a deal's got to be struck.
It looks like politicians will now have to make those deals with the voters. And Hudson, the anticipated election campaign hasn't even begun, but the rhetoric surely has. Victoria MP Denise Savoy put out a release today calling the Conservative budget provocatively empty. The NDP member of Parliament for Victoria wants to see an initiative that benefits her community, such as ending poverty for seniors, green economic policy, and a national effort to end homelessness. Now, the NDP, like all other parties, has been ramping up its election campaign locally recently, printing election signs. And one candidate even told me earlier this week, Hudson, his signs were being stored in his campaign office, but he wouldn't tell us where it was located.
Okay, it's coming. Stephen, thank you.
You're welcome.